Anthony with the pump fake and one dribble inside to the long two, and he makes it. That's been his game his whole career. But look at him smiling. We go, my bad. The long two.
Welcome to another episode of The Long Two. I am Pete Rogers. He is Natty Wallach. And we are a Carmelo Stanthony podcast, but occasionally talk fantasy basketball. Natty, how you doing today?
Howdy, what's up? I'm all right. How you doing?
About the same. We're going to talk actual basketball today and sort out our pyramid of contenders, since all signs are pointing to things moving forward successfully in the bubble with no positive tests coming back in their last round. But Natty, first, I have to ask you, have you had the privilege of seeing the new Hawks jerseys?
I have. I've seen those hot ones. I've also seen those Pistons Jordan logo ones.
And you're loving that?
Yeah. I mean, Jordan transcends basketball, so it's fine. I don't hate Jordan. It's just the Bulls. And it's awesome that it seems like the bubble is okay and everyone's doing okay. So this is encouraging news. Hopefully everything is working, and it's cool to see these new jerseys and, team logos in the meantime.
Team Loco logos.
Like everyone's sort of getting nostalgia and doing throwbacks, which is great.
Because
it's just
and
don't
that's
want
like
some of the old ones coming back.
that's a fair bet. And to your point about nostalgia, so I mean, I like to consider myself a jersey aficionado, as I have done multiple jersey redesigns now over on my Instagram page just for shits and giggles.
Which were great. Everyone should check them out.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And anytime I was doing them, I started with the NBA, did NFL, now I'm on MLB. It's amazing how many old jerseys were like perfect. And it's like, why did we have to like modernize this? Why did we have to stem away from kind of this like very clean classic looks? And I think that the Hawks have 100% gone back to that. These jerseys are just so gorgeous to me. The black and the red and the kind of the drop shadow on the text, it's just, they're clean, they're beautiful. And so I think going back away from the like weird lime green highlight with the triangle jersey, I think it was not a terrible step, but going back to just a classic clean look, I mean, that's peak basketball right there.
Yeah, they sort of remind me of movies that are re-released that have been, like turned into HD, and the film has been revitalized. Because these are like so fresh, and there's a little bit new to them, but it doesn't take away from the retro feel. Whereas, the old ones did seem stale, like they were changed for reasons. And early 90s had crazy color schemes all over the place.
Yeah.
Fucking windbreakers, with just like grids of colors that you would never ever want to see anywhere else. And a bunch of teams just went absolutely nuts all over sports. So I assume they'll bust some of those out, like the early aughts Pistons is just so terrible, but they'll pop them out eventually just to sell some new ones.
Yeah. But no, these are super clean. In a summer of a bunch of NFL redesigns, there have been a bunch of NFL teams that have come out with new jerseys. Not too many new NBA jerseys, but these are cream of the crop. So I had to talk about those at the top of the show because
sure,
God, they are clean.
Dude, I also think it's healthy. Like the teams are trying. Yes, it's obviously to sell merch, obviously, but it's also sort of an inclination to try to express yourself through the team uniforms. Like, this is who we are. I mean, you mentioned, like the weird triangles on the Hawks uniform, and I liked that because it was something new and different and, like very designy. And like there are reasons for why all of these things get included on jerseys and on fields and on courts. And if you read, like Zach Lowe has done a bunch of deep dives into sports design, which is always interesting. But it's just cool to see people expressing themselves, and sometimes they, take a wrong turn, and that's interesting to see too.
Yeah.
You don't want to be fans of the team when it happens, but okay.
But you also then want a team to recognize its shortcomings and step away from
Dude,
a
like the
design that
NFL
was-
color crush shit from a few years ago, where it's like, it was almost like if you were colorblind, you wouldn't have had any idea what the fuck was going on.
Oh, it happened. It was incredible. It was the Bills Jets game. There was a Bills Jets game where it was red and green, and if you're red green colorblind, it's all just gray. It's a gray team tackling a gray team.
But it's you appreciate the try, even though it's like if you had been in the design meeting, you would have been like, dude, just put that on and walk around. Do you really think that looks good? Because you're
right. Because I'm going to challenge you for colorblindness. All right, well, let's get into actual basketball talk. And over on Fake Teams, one of our writers, Antonio Losada, has been banging out previews for each team as we enter the bubble and what their playoff outlooks look like, and a little bit of DFS chatter for those out there. So make sure you go check those out. But I figured we should do our own kind of bubble preview, and what I like to call the title contention pyramid. So this pyramid has 4 tiers. And I know, Natty, I sent you when we were doing our pre-show notes, I had different names for them, but I've rebranded them to make it all the cleaner and nicer. It's all about branding here on this show.
Sure.
So we have 4 tiers. At the top of the pyramid, the favorites. Then you have the contenders beneath them.
Okay.
The entertainers as our 3rd tier. And then finally, the happy to be here's as our 4th tier.
Okay.
And so I figured let's spice things up and let's start at the top of the pyramid, because I feel like there shouldn't be too much debate as to which teams are championship contenders. Maybe there will be. But at top of my pyramid in the favorites, as we enter the NBA bubble and into the NBA playoffs, I've got the Clippers, Bucks, Lakers, Celtics, and Nuggets as my favorites for championships.
Okay. Jeez. Well, we do have a difference of opinion. So give me your reasons.
So I think Clippers, Bucks, and Lakers, there shouldn't be too much argument there, right? Am I wrong in that?
Yeah.
They're all
like they've all lost at least one player, I think, but all the important players are still there for the most part.
Right. And I do want to say I have them in that order. Like for me, the Clippers are the favorites to win. I think just the fact that you not only have had all this time off for Kawhi and PG-13, but also the fact that Kawhi and Paul George didn't really play that much this year. Like they were already on a strong minutes count throughout the season. And now you've got this huge break. I just think that team, they're going to come in. Their 2 best players are beyond healthy, have very low minutes on them compared to, like, if you look at LeBron and AD, who've put in a ton more minutes so far this season. So Clippers, Bucks, Lakers, Celtics. If everything, the Celtics have lost no one, which obviously is a big selling point. And the time, health is a factor here, where another time maybe you're going to get like Gordon Hayward is fully healthy. You're going to get maybe Kemba Walker is fully healthy, and the knee issue that was kind of ailing him to the end of the season, I guess we can say now, won't be there anymore. They're the team that I think I have in this kind of the favorite section, where it's all of the players are there, and if everything just clicks and I think they're the best team in the NBA if everyone is playing at a level we've seen them play before. So that's why I have them there. And I'm trying my best to be Dr. Pete here and not be a biased fan. And then the Nuggets I think are a complete wild card in the sense of like, if Slim Jokic just goes off, like who knows what Slim Jokic could do. And now they have Bol, which just seems unfair to me that Slim Jokic has, a 7'2" guy to pass the ball to. That just seems like it's unfair. But they seem like a team that, when I was looking at kind of what contenders do I think have a realistic shot, they were the team that stuck out to me as the one who I'd be comfortable putting into the favorites.
I am hoping that there's a Bol Joker kind of one's the nominal point guard and one's the nominal center, but they switch on and off depending on what's happening on the court and just have like wings in between them. I just think that would look so goddamn fucking cool.
Let's also just hope for a Nugget Celtics finals so we can get Bull versus Taco Fall and just have the battle of the 7+ footers.
The ratings would be through the roof. Like
through the roof.
People who don't even know about basketball would tune in and be like, wait, what's happening? The problem I have with the Celtics is the same problem I have with the Clippers. I think they're a little bit thin up front. The Clippers have Noah and oh shit, I forget the name of the other guy. Sorry, but there's someone else there, obviously. But they're a little bit thin. And I have the Clippers as a favorite as well, because I think if the guards are all healthy in there, combined with the wings, that team is absolutely menacing. The Celtics can be really, really good, but I still sort of feel like they're a year away. And
totally fair.
I don't know if this setup favors. Like, I think the biggest problem with the Celtics this year has been, can Gordon Hayward play with everybody else at the same time? And I wonder if these seeding games are going to be sort of like their spring training, and they're going to commit one way or the other. Like, either he starts or he doesn't. Mm-hmm. And so I do think that could help the Celtics sort of find their optimal lineup. But can that team really beat Giannis in 7 games? I don't know. Like, Giannis to me is still the number one terrifying force in basketball right now.
Sure.
And I think the Bucks are probably the favorites because they're so close to being full strength, and because Giannis is going to be MVP and defensive player of the year. You know, like he's, I think, the best player in the NBA right now. And I think this abbreviated schedule is going to help them most of all.
Yeah.
So I only have 4 in my faves. I have the Bucks,
okay.
The Clippers, the Lakers, and I have the Raptors out of respect, Pete. Something that you and Dr. Pete
I have
probably don't know. The Raptors are basically at full strength too, I think. And that team has those young wings and a former defensive player of the year in Marc Gasol, who can shoot threes and pass, and Serge Ibaka, and Kyle motherfucking Lowry. So, and they're the champs. They're defending their title. So I think that they have like at least 1% more motivation. I also feel like the Raptors aren't going to have to try too hard in the seeding games. So like maybe the Stars won't play as much because like they're going to be in the playoffs.
Right.
And, you know, there's not really that much movement that can occur. So I still have the Raps in there.
Yeah, I have the Raps at the top of my contenders list. When I looked over their team, and they to me didn't feel like, even if everything played out perfectly for them, I still feel like they fall short of a title. And that could just be,
I mean, fair enough. Everything had to go perfectly for them last year to win. So
with the best player in the NBA right now. Or the second best, depending on, you know, however you want to view the Kawhi Giannis debate. But so they, I mean, I agree with you totally that I wanted to put them there, but Dr. Pete / Celtics fan Pete was like, I'm not going to put the Raptors ahead of the Celtics. I would
also say, sorry to interrupt, one more thing for the Raptors. Nick Nurse is a damn good fucking coach.
He is. No, they have a ton going for them.
Because, like, the other coaches of those teams, I mean, Doc Rivers, obviously, but
dare besmirch Brad Stevens.
But he hasn't. He was in a national title game. Sorry, So, like, he's obvious. Yeah, but that team doesn't have that much experience, and that experience tends to be very important in the playoffs. No, so I guess that's another knock against the Celtics.
Well, except for the fact that the last time the Celtics, you know, were in the playoffs, like those young guys, what are their names? Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Am I saying those names right? kind of
Dude,
broke
and
out
Tatum
onto
found
the
his
scene.
stroke this year.
And
Like he was shooting.
Tatum
Oh,
is
man.
now rocking some dope curls. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to get
They
too
look
excited
great,
here,
dude.
but
They look great. Also, I can't wait to watch Marcus Smart defending centers. That will happen.
Oh God, it's gonna be amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. It depends
so
on whether Kemba's all the way and if Gordon
Yeah.
Hayward and the rest of the crew can figure it out.
Right. But so for me, the Celtics, I just saw at their peak, they seem like a team that could win the championship. The Raptors, to me, at their peak, was a team that was going to lose in the Eastern Conference Final. So let's get into the contenders then.
Interesting.
So I have the contenders. I have Raptors, and this is all I have done mine in order here. So these are I'm not just giving you the contenders, Natty. I'm ranking them for you because I am just that good.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Raptors, Thunder, Heat, Rockets, Jazz, Sixers, Mavericks. Those are the guys.
Whoa. Wait a second. Did you say Philly in the first group?
No, I have Philly in the contenders, Sixers.
You have them in the third. So you just mentioned them.
I just mentioned them.
Okay.
It would have been ballsy to put them in the entertainers and not the contenders.
Yeah, I was gonna say I must have just misheard. So I was like, wait a second. Do neither of us think the Sixers can do anything? Because if they're at optimal and everything clicks,
I don't think that they're going to do anything. But I think that they are a team that when you have Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, like I can't say that you're just there to like be eye fodder. Like, you're not just there to like make pretty plays and be fun basketball to watch. You have at least a shot at making some sort of noise because you have, two extremely talented players, and you also have Tobias Harris and you've got Al Horford. Like, there are guys there who
and Shake Milton, dude. Come on. Hello.
Yes. Excuse my apologies. But I certainly don't think, I mean, they are what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I have 6.
Yeah, they're down in the standings.
They're
totally.
Exactly. Yeah. So anyway,
the team was different last year, obviously, but if Embiid and Simmons are at 100%, that tandem on defense is pretty terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's something that can beat Giannis. I mean, we've seen it. So, I mean, a healthy Embiid, a dude who could like have gone for Defensive Player of the Year, I think that is possibly a game changer. But I don't think it enough to have put them in the faves. So, right. I think we both agree. It's just that you have your feels, and I'm trying to be analytical. Like you're a doctor, yeah. I get it.
I know.
But I'm a fantasy basketball writer, okay? I take this seriously. But you still think the Raptors have a better chance than Philly?
Oh, God, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Philly is way down in my contenders list. I think that the Raptors, Heat, and, yeah, that's who I think all have better chances coming out of the East than the Sixers, I guess. So I guess really I don't have much over.
I have Boston, the Heat, Philly, Denver, OKC, and Houston. I think like the same reasons I have Denver in this category are the same ones you said. It's just that I feel like they have a lower, like if their guards don't play well, that's going to be tough.
There's a lot for the Nuggets, to like really make hay. You need to have your guards. You need like Will Barton and Jamal Murray and those guys to like ball out, which they can. We've seen them do it, but there's certainly pressure resting on them. So you don't think, because this is a team that I went back and forth a lot on, you don't think the Jazz are contenders?
Oh, no, not even a little bit. Like I have them in the lucky to be here, just happy.
Really?
There's no Boyan. Yeah, because they can't score. Like it would take, if Mike Conley is vintage Mike Conley, maybe that changes things. But I just don't think they have the shooting, and they're in the tougher conference. If they were in the East, maybe. But I really don't believe in them in this situation at all. I just, where the bucket's going to come from.
That's fair. And you're also having to deal with maybe there's possibly animosity between Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. Who knows?
As a Pistons fan, and I bet as a Celtics fan, Sometimes when players are mad at each other, they just play harder. Like they take it out on the other team because they can't take it out on each other.
Yeah, sometimes
So,
it completely tanks a player and gets in his head,
dude,
a la
sure,
Jalen
because
Brown.
they're already not operating at 100%,
Right.
and that's because I like Utah, but I really just don't believe in that team at all right now.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I guess there's no reason in me moving them in my pyramid, but I'll bump them down to entertainers. I was back and forth on them a lot because of everything you said, and just like I feel like of all of the teams that had a lot of momentum going like into this year and through the season, I think the Jazz lost the vast majority of that during this COVID break, both
Totally.
because Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert got COVID, but also I just feel like there's so much has like happened to that team that has sunk anyone's kind of hyper expectation for them.
And it's not like Boyan was a defensive player of the year or anything. Like they're still
Right.
going to play as a competent, well coached, well run team with smart players. But in this kind of playoff situation, you have to be able to score. And I just don't think that they can keep up with the other teams. Like they would have to play, like Big Ben Wallace Pistons. Like you can't let the other team score 80 points,
Right.
Like you'd have
Which
to be
is
really, really
which is
slow.
not gonna happen.
Yeah.
There's I mean, even the Lakers are slow, and you're not gonna keep you're not gonna keep them under 80 points.
I just think it's such a tall order. And here's the other thing: they won't be playing in Utah. Like they don't get the advantage of their really tough.
That's a good point.
Home crowd. So
really tough and fairly racist.
Yeah. Well, as a Boston sports fan, you're very well aware of
Yes,
that.
I know.
Yeah.
We also
Yeah. Hockey way, right?
Our
Okay.
reputation, we are. Well, I like to think that we're trying to change. And do I feel the same way about Utah Jazz fans? No.
Speaking of a very similar place to Salt Lake City, what do you think of Miami?
Let's take an ad break as I compose my thoughts, and we'll come
collect
back to
yourself. Take a breath.
Exactly.
Walk around.
Listen to some ads, people. Okay, now that I've had the ad break to collect my gatherings, musings.
He did 5 push-ups. Like he pumped his fist in the air real hard. Let's go.
I watched some Jimmy Butler highlights, and I was like, you know what? I'm back in. I mean, I think they're obviously contenders. For me, it's all comes down to Jimmy Buckets and how good Jimmy Buckets is going to be. And I think he's going to be very good, but I don't know how far that team goes on his shoulders. I think they're like one or two, like if Bam Adebayo takes one more step, then that team is going to be filthy, right? Then there's like now Jimmy Buckets as a running mate, especially and with Tyler Hero, and there's certainly pieces there that are very exciting. I just think it's a little too young. Jimmy Buckets is his running mates are it's just a little too young for me to like think of them as favorites. But I mean, I have them as number 3 in my contenders.
I mean, they do have Andre Iguodala there. Never count out a team with Iggy.
Just said that Jimmy's running mates were young and they have Andre Iguodala.
So. No, but it's those 2 guys and then a bunch of 19-year-olds. Right. But all of those 19-year-olds can shoot the 3 and catch fire.
Jimmy, I mean, Bam Adebayo, I am excited to watch him continue to play basketball.
Oh, sure. I feel the exact same way about the young Raptors. Like, I really, there's a part of me that just wants to fast forward 3 years and like see all those dudes going through it. Miami is another extremely well-coached team. It seems to fit together pretty well. Like it's a well-constructed team and everyone sort of knows their role. And I wonder if that might be an advantage over a team like Philly. There's Jimmy and there's everybody else, though. Just like if Bam takes another step, then it's Jimmy and Bam, and that should be a TV show, by the way.
Love it.
But there's, it's a wave attack. Like Jimmy's the man, but they will use everybody, so they're going to be a very, very, very hard out. They're like if Indiana is at 100%, then I'd consider them sort of a similar team to that in terms, like, I don't think that they'll get to the Eastern Conference Finals, but I think that they could get to the second round after playing like a really tough series.
Right. Well, let's segue into the entertainers, our third tier on the pyramid.
Oh,
because
wait, sorry.
that's-
One last thing. What about Houston?
Oh yeah. I mean, show me something, James Harden. I guess
It's
that's
still
how.
PJ Tucker at center, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean that's where I'm feeling. For me, like for all these contenders, I could spin a narrative in my head where it's like, yeah, maybe they could win a championship. But at every point, I came up more times than not was like, there is a barricade here. And for the Rockets, we've talked about, a lot of people have talked about this. Show me something in the playoffs. Do
He
something.
will be rested this time.
This is fair.
Devil's
this
advocate.
Is fair.
But they don't have a center.
Arrested James Harden, arrested Russell Westbrook. That's hard to say.
That is hard to say, yeah.
You can't count those guys out, but what you say is the biggest thing. Like, I just don't know how the Rockets are winning a series against the Lakers or the Thunder. Like, I feel like even Steven Adams is going to just like body people.
Like, Bob Covington has to take the best wing on the opposing team, right?
Right.
So then the center has to be PJ. There will be Eric Gordon, Harden, Westbrook. They're just not a big team, and they gave up on rebounding after the trade of Clint Capella. And I still think that you need to be able to rebound in the playoffs. But all due respect, Harden was averaging 30-plus points per game. He can catch fire. And Westbrook is, even if he's not efficient, and he got better at it this year, but he's still a terror. And you can see, I think they're the team most likely to earn an upset over like a qualified as better team.
Sure.
Like if the Lakers were going to lose to somebody, I think it would probably be the Rockets. And it's just because like Harden went nuts.
Maybe. For me, ultimately, it comes down to when I was doing this, I was just like, I have $1,000. Who am I putting $1,000 on to win a championship? And I was like, every time I thought about the Rockets, I was like, not
the team coached by Mike D'Antoni. You don't put money on the team coached by Mike D'Antoni. Right. That's crazy. But because of this layoff, and he hasn't been able to run every single motherfucker into the ground that he can.
You never know. And this is the contenders. The contenders, they all have shots, and it's going to be exciting to watch a playoff. This is why we want basketball.
Right. All these teams have shots outside, and they all have incredible players.
Right.
I mean, OKC can advance because they have the point guard and because they're mainly healthy.
Shai Gilgeous has been phenomenal.
All of their guards can shoot from the mid-range, from the long too. Steven Adams is there. He seems to be like one of the few actual centers. God, I wish they still had Jeremy Grant so goddamn fucking hard. But he's another bonus for the Nuggets.
Yeah. All right, but let's go into the entertainers now. And these are guys who, excuse me, I had to burp.
Understandable.
This is just a hot mess.
Yeah. Obviously our boyfriend Carmelo is in this entertaining, awesome. Maestro Dame's there, CJ McCollum.
Oh yeah.
If the Blazers, I think, are the one team that's sort of out of it right now that could jump into contender style because they're getting their bigs back.
Yeah, and maybe I just, again, to me this is why I like to doing this pyramid tier. Is it's just I have like that top pyramid. Maybe it's more of like Atlas carrying the world, and Atlas is like all the other NBA teams, and then the Clippers, Bucks, and Lakers. And then I'll include the Celtics there. And I'll put Raptors. We can get rid of the Nuggets. We'll put Raptors in there too.
See, I think it's just Skinny Mello lifting up the world on his back. And,
there it is. Perfect.
winning the whole
Skinny
goddamn
Mel's
thing.
got this for everything. I just think that the favorites are so overpowering favorites that it's going to be really tough for any team to make noise. So, but yeah, the entertainers, I've got Trailblazers, Pacers, Spurs, Pelicans, Grizzlies, and Suns. Suns are just above the happy to be here and in the entertainers because if Devin Booker catches fire, like it's not going to do anything, but it's going to be really fun to watch.
That's true. They will be entertaining. I do think that the Suns. It'll be fun to watch the Suns.
Right. So I just barely had them in there. But you seemingly, because you didn't have them in your contenders, you have the Mavericks here, which I want to have some words with about.
Yeah, this and the Faves were the smallest groups for me. They're both 4. My entertainers are Pacers, but only because Depot is now apparently going to play.
Yeah.
The Mavericks, obviously, Luka forever. The Blazers and the Pelicans. And I'm putting the Pelicans in there even if they don't have Zion, because I think that when Zion debuted, something clicked for them and they sort of figured out how to play better. Like they sort of got better at everything across the board, even fouls. And I think that Drew Holiday is like an elite perimeter defender, and Brandon Ingram can catch fire. I just really, really like that team a lot. And if Zion is also there, then it'll be one of the most entertaining, if not the most entertaining team. The Pacers are going to be tough, especially if Victor's there. Like they're always just so goddamn feisty, and they're coached really well too. Nate McMillan is awesome. But let's get to the Mavericks. I believe in Luka. Yes. I believe in a rested unicorn, by the way, a rested unicorn.
Yeah.
I believe in JJ Barea. And I believe Go Blue. And I like this team is going to be fun to watch if everybody's healthy. I don't think that they're going to get to the, Western Conference playoffs, but I think that they could have a really awesome first round and maybe get to the second round.
Yeah, and I guess to me maybe that's not contenders, but I had them at the end of contenders because I think they are a team that, like you said, a rested unicorn, Luka being MVP, doing MVP things, this team having fun. We've seen that in the bubble, but more so like they're a team that I feel like could get into that hot streak where they the Cinderella story to a certain extent, like in March Madness, where they like kind of start knocking off teams or kind of start winning games, and you're like, oh shit, is this something? Like, are the Mavericks about to just kind of like run a hot streak all the way to the Western Conference Final or even a champion, whatever it might be? And a championship might sound crazy, but like things clicking to this team, I could see them like knocking off a couple guys and then we're suddenly like, oh shit, the Mavericks are like, we have to kind of take them seriously right now, right? And so that's why I had them at the back end of contenders rather than, because for me the entertainers were like, none of these guys do I think have a serious chance of like making it out of the first round.
I am absolutely certain of only a few things when it comes to the NBA.
Perfect. But we're going to say it with such ferocity and assuredness that, it will be taken as truth.
There are 2 people who I am positive will be in the running for MVPs over the next 5 to 10 years. Those 2 players are Giannis and Luka.
Yes.
I think Luka is a magnificent talent. I think that the Mavs and him are just going out there to have fun, and they'll play loose. They have a really, really, really good coach who also knows how to win. And they're a team that no one's really talking about because of the things I just said. Like they don't seem like a contender, but they'll go in there with as much talent in their 2 top players as almost any other team. Like those 2 guys at their optimum are pretty fucking good. And there's just so much about how that team can operate against like let's say that they go 8-0 in the seeding games because like Utah's bad and their schedule's maybe not that rough, and a bunch of the other teams don't play their stars as much because they know that their seeding basically will remain the same no matter what happens, so long as they play 500 ball. So the Mavs could really take an opportunity to go on a streak and then go into the playoffs on firing on all cylinders. I don't think that they would make it out of the first round, depending, but Luka is so good that I think he can win a series.
What's do you know off the top of your head? I was going to try to pull it up, but then I was too slow. Do you know who they're likely? What's the likely bracket looking like? NBA
I don't.
standings. Let's see. Let's go Western Conference. Okay, so the Mavericks are the 7th team, but and
it's really only the 8th team that can move around. Like they can't fall out of the playoffs, can they?
It's according to Google NBA search of Google search of the NBA standings, they have not clinched a playoff spot.
Okay, so if they went defeated and one of the other teams went undefeated, then okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
But let's say they stay at the 7th hole. That means their first round. Yeah, the first round would be the Clippers. Okay. Maybe that's a little tough. But like if they bumped up, if they were able to, because they're only they are 3 games back of the Rockets.
I mean, who on the Clippers can, if Porzingis is Porzingod, who on the Clippers can properly defend him?
Yes.
Joakim Noah isn't going to fucking do that.
No.
And Kristaps can shoot over both of the wings, obviously.
Yeah, it would have to take a performance for Kristaps.
Absolutely,
but my point is,
for sure.
If the Mavericks are 3 games back from the Rockets. If the Mavericks were able to come out balls a-blazing and the Rockets came out balls a-shriveling, and the Mavs locked up the 6th seed, then they're playing the Nuggets. Then I think that's a fucking series. Like that is battle. I could see the Mavericks coming out of that, and we're going to have some excitement and people getting hyped.
That would be a fun series.
It'd be a super fun series.
A lot of Europeans in that one. That would be great.
Giving it to the Euros. Yeah, and you didn't have the Spurs in your entertainers. I assume have them in the happy to be here's.
Yeah, I think like if they make the playoffs, then they will be so happy to be there because it'll have kept the streak going. And there's no goddamn fucking way. Let me take that back. There is obviously a chance.
There's always a way.
Team, and DeMar DeRozan plays for that team. Their guards are so young. They're so young, and they don't really have the shooting that some of the other teams do. I guess it wouldn't have mattered if they had kept the Latvian laser because he's sitting out for the playoffs. But this is a team that can give anyone problems on any given night. So they don't need to win. They don't need to make the playoffs. Obviously, like Pop's record is amazing on its own. But if they do play well and got in, they would be the happiest team to be there.
Yeah, that's fair. I have them as, I guess I probably have them too high in my entertainers, but I have them as an entertainer just because I can never count Pop out. And it's just like, if there was a team in the West, like, between these Grizzlies, Trailblazers, Pelicans, Kings, and Spurs that like made it, like, it wouldn't surprise me if the Spurs were the team to somehow sneak their way into the playoffs, into that 8th seed. Like, it wouldn't surprise me.
And they, like all of their vets are extremely competent, and, Patty Mills, like and you can never, history has shown, like, this is the third thing I'm certain of. Don't ever fucking dismiss the Spurs. Don't ever do it. Once they fail, then we can start talking about it. Until that happens, we should have faith, or at least believe in the power of pattern recognition.
Let's start keeping track of the things that Natty is fucking sure in. And I like how it starts off. It started off as 2 things, and we've already added a 3rd thing. And I'm sure within a couple episodes. I
believe I said that there were only a few things I'm certain of. 3 is a few. That's fine.
We're going to stretch the definition of what a few is by the end of
semantics.
By the end of the show. That's how it is. All right. Well, let's talk the guys who are just happy to be here, shall we?
I think this is my biggest group. Yeah, it
It
definitely
seems
is.
like it, because you don't have a lot of
Yeah.
guys and contenders and entertainers. So you got a lot of people who are just thrilled to even be a part of all of this. I have the Wizards, the Nets, the Magic, and the Kings, but you have a whole bunch of guys. So why don't you give me the whole list and we'll talk some of these guys.
Okay, this is in no particular order. I have Nets, Magic, Wizards, Utah, Memphis, Sacramento, Spurs, and Suns. Um, I'm putting the Nets there. Like, I'm giving everyone a chance, basically. Like, if this is going
the
to be
Nets
so weird
have
that
no one.
that's true, but I think that is really freeing in this situation. And they do have Karis LeVert, and they Jared Allen. Like, they maybe have sort of like young pissed off dudes that don't like Kyrie and KD too much, and so maybe they're going to be playing.
Which is a great thing to have happen as you're about to start this like KD Kyrie for the future franchise.
Hey, man, Boston came out the other end looking pretty okay. Like, maybe this won't be the worst thing that ever happened. But anyway, I'm going to give them a chance, even though Jack Vaughn is their coach. I forget who their new coach is, but just because this is going to be so weird and so strange, I don't want to dismiss any team because I think that's a little bit foolhardy. The Magic, if their defense is going full throttle, then that's a really fucking tough team. The Wizards, I mean, Beal can catch fire, right?
Beal's not
Can't
playing.
that happen? Oh my God, Jesus, that's right.
No, the Wizards. Let me. So this is like I said, Antonio Losada. He's writing these bubble previews on FakeTeams.com. Go read them, and he keeps track of he's letting you know how the season was, what their stats were, and who's they were acquired and who they have lost throughout the bubble. Yeah, players lost for the Wizards: Bradley Beal, Davis Bertans, and of course John Wall's not coming back. The Wizards aren't going to win a game. Wizards aren't scoring 40 points.
I had forgot. Wait, is IT on that team?
No, IT's a free agent. This
no one picked him up.
This team is Rui Hachimura and like Shabazz Napier just going balls to the wall.
Well, I like Rui, but
I love Rui.
I had absolutely. That's funny because I had just like focused in on Davis Bertans being like, yeah, well, he's not playing. Jesus. Okay, well, sure. I just said don't dismiss any teams, but maybe
we could dismiss the Wizards.
Maybe. Utah, we already talked about. Memphis, yep. Justice Winslow is out with a hip injury.
Yeah,
he won't be playing, which sucks.
Yeah,
that sucks so fucking bad. I now think like they don't have enough shooting either, and I just feel like there's a greater chance that they'll fall out of the playoffs than there is that they'll stay in. Like, I think Portland's just a better team right now,
No, and that's such a bummer because of and obviously you want like best health for Zion and his family, but like it's a bummer that with all of the hype and we've spent so much talking about this on this show and all of the hype of the year of John Morant and Zion Williamson, the fact that it's very likely that we're not going to get either of those guys for playoff basketball is a bummer. It sucks because, we've long talked like if the Grizzlies were to fall out, I was wanting like, oh God, the Pelicans, and let's push the Pelicans in. But I think you're right. I think ultimately probably Trailblazers are going to be the team that knocks the Grizzlies out. And then you're going to have, which is great. Dame is, still, exceptionally fun to watch. And we obviously need to see more Slim Melo. So, but you're right that I think the Grizzlies have had, I don't think that they have enough pieces there to be able to remain in that 8th seed.
And they're young, they haven't done this before. And they sort of overachieved anyway. So from a certain point of view, the NBA deserves this. They made the playoffs to get certain players in the playoffs or in this, second season. And now those players won't be here. So that's funny. And DC and Brooklyn, two markets that they would like to do well, are also walking wounded. Sacramento just lost Marvin Bagley, I think, or he got injured again. they're a fun team to watch. Like they are, I guess maybe I should have put them in entertaining, but I don't think that they're going to really do anything.
Right.
The
Like
Spurs we
entertaining,
talked about, and
you need to be exciting, but you also, there needs to be like in the back of your mind, like, ooh, could this happen? Like, could something happen here? Where it's like, yeah, maybe the Kings steal a game, but like, and they're maybe exciting to watch, but they're not going to threaten any team as like, ooh, could we see an upset here?
Yeah, you need to be able to make noise if you're going to be an entertainer. Right. And while they may be interesting and fun, I don't think that they're going to make any noise. And I feel the same. The Suns, actually, they're going to be entertaining no matter what. But I just don't think that the defense on that team.
Fair.
And maybe they just won't
do
even
anything.
Play defense. Yeah, like maybe they're just like, yo, fuck this. We shouldn't be here. What is this? And they just run all over the place. But that team, this is going to be valuable for the Suns because over the next 2 to 3 years, they have to be able to give Devin Booker a reason to stay. You have to be able to show him that you can build a team around him that is competent and that knows what his strengths and his weaknesses are. Like if you can't scout yourself, then there's no reason to trust them moving forward. And if, like Devin Booker leaving the Suns would be a massive, massive, massive loss. So this, I guess it's maybe more important for the Suns to have these games than maybe some of the other young teams.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's getting to the point where Devin Booker needs to be shown what's up,
Right. Awesome. Any final thoughts you want to cast as we approach the NBA bubble?
Well, when I was going through this, I wondered, is there any team that you wish you could put in that is out?
Oh, good cue.
I would like to see Chicago in this, even though genius Jim Boylan, I'm sure, would have some problems in the bubble. Like if everyone was healthy, that I think it would be more fun to watch the baby Bulls than some of these other teams.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. I'm now looking at these rosters and I'm like, oof, God.
Like Charlotte,
the Hawks, just because of Trae Young.
Yeah,
like
totally.
I'm thinking of like one player. I mean, the Warriors wouldn't want it, but like I'm always here for like Steph and Clay being healthy with Maple Jordan and seeing what the hell happens there. But yeah, I would say I'm like in the same way that I'm excited to see, like the potential of the Suns with Devin Booker. Like Devin Booker catches fire, I'm happy to see Trae Young catch fire too, and just go on matches from three.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other young guys there, like you don't want to see Detroit,
John Collins,
Minnesota.
I like to see that.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Yeah,
I would like to see their wings get a little bit better. I'd like to see, Kevin Huerter. No one cares about the Cavs. I mean, I think most of the teams that you'd want to see are a part of it.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. And that's, I mean, I think I would even go as far to say most, like there are teams who are invited who, did they need to be invited? No.
Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting question. Like if the Nets had the chance to not go, would they do that?
Like the Nets, Wizards, Magic, and Kings all to me are like, do you need to be here?
Yeah,
basically the East.
What would have happened?
Why did the bottom of the East need to be there?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Totally.
No one's.
Well, they thought Beal was going to be playing then, right?
Yeah, I guess. But like, is Beal really going to carry the Wizards and knock the? I don't know who's. I keep getting rid of my power stand. The list of. But
I think some of that has to do with like we're trying to show you respect. You know, like this is all. This is all arbitrary anyway. They are choosing their own rules. Like, there's no reason it should be 22 teams. There's no reason that whatever. All of this is flying by the seat of their pants, which is fine. It's a pandemic. You do the best that you possibly can. And thank God that everybody's safe. It's like, if the product is bad, like if these bad teams are really bad, that's going to be a little bit of a black eye. But I think, it's only going to be eight games, and then you get to the playoffs. So it'll be fine. Hopefully.
Yeah. It should be good. I'm excited for basketball. They were showing the courts today, and I am just like, Get me to it, man. Let's the no positive test came back. I was like, I am in now. The bubble is safe. Perfect. Well done, NBA. Let's go. Let's ride this. Let's give me constant basketball nonstop for the next month and a half.
If you can show that you can actually have a safe environment with testing that is regular and constant, then I think that is a good thing to show to the country, because all it takes to be able to do that is money. And if Congress gives us enough money, if Congress uses our money to actually do what they should and put a bunch of testing and tracing out there to make sure that we can stamp this out, then it will happen. So hopefully all of this goes well. Everyone wear masks. If everyone wore masks, the scientists say that this would be done in, a couple of months, which sucks. But yeah. But anyway, if the NBA succeeds at this and no one gets sick and it all goes fine, then that is a good example. It is possible. That will be evidence to show that all the haters, no, if we try hard enough, we can do this. So that's a good thing.
Agreed. Well, that's all we got for you this week. Make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Fake Teams podcast channels where you'll find us. iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher. So just search Fake Teams, will pop up. Hit subscribe, drop us a review, give us 5 stars because you love us. Follow us on Twitter at The Long Two Podcast. And Natty, until next week, stay safe.
You do the same, man. Be well, everybody. Listen to the football and baseball podcast as well.
Amen.